No, thank you for inviting us. We were on track. My name is Dianna Muller. I'm the founder of Women for Gun Rights. And with me today is Miss Cheryl Todd, the Arizona State Director, and then the Arkansas State Director, Stacy Clonch. We are in town. Why are we in town? Oh. We did really cool stuff. We did really cool stuff today. We were honored to be part of a Second Amendment Institute had a wreath laying ceremony today, and Stacy is a veteran and I am a retired police officer, and we participated in a wreath laying ceremony. So if you guys have ever seen the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and how cool that is, we were like that. Stacy and I were really geeked out about this, as well as Cheryl. But Women for Gun Rights. Does anybody know who Moms Demand Action is? So they wear the red shirts with Moms Demand. They are a Bloomberg-funded $60 million a year organization, and they've been going on for about 12 years now. And Women for Gun Rights, I was a police officer, retired early to shoot professionally, shoot 3-gun, was living the high life until I got too close to Washington, D.C., and a friend of mine said, "Do you want to meet your legislator?" And I was totally apathetic, probably like 90% of Americans out there. I was totally apathetic, and it was, I call it a God moment, because I was sitting in front of my congressman and I was like, "Hey, is there something that we should be doing to educate the people in this building that are making some really horrendous decisions based on misinformation and just ignorance?" And from there, I realized, can people even go see their legislators? I mean, I didn't know anything. And I tried to get, I thought professional shooters, because we're easy to vet, you can kind of follow us, you can trust us, we know what we're talking about. And then I realized that we're only going to be, I can only have standing in Oklahoma, where I'm from, and I couldn't really find professional shooters in every state, and there's not very many of us. And then I had my husband in Washington, D.C., and I couldn't get him excited about, I had two guys, I couldn't get him excited about being in front of the Supreme Court. And it really kind of ticked me off. I was like, "This is the Supreme Court. This is so cool." And I think that was God going, "You're going to go to women. You're going to use women." So I started getting my friends. Well, God started helping me meet new friends all over. And I called it the DC Project because I didn't know what else to call it. And we had one woman. Our goal is to have one woman for every state go to Washington, D.C., and meet their legislators as gun owners, and just paint a different face. Than, bless you guys, they've completely demonized you. And I really do believe it's going to be up to people who look like us and minorities to make guns great again. So I appreciate that you guys still continue to be plugged in and do what you can to save the Second Amendment. But we want to be used as like trunk monkeys. Like, we got something coming up. We need to put you out there. I'm super focused on the optics. Like, that's what they do. They, when there's a governor signing a new bill, anti-gun bill, just check out their pictures. They are excellent at the optics. They have people from suits to all the way down to the janitors. They just create what they want you to see. They take the picture and they put it out on the nightly news or wherever they want to put out their propaganda. And the diversity is great with red shirts in it. So I'm sitting there looking at ours, paying attention now. And what do you think ours looks like? Ours looks like a bunch of white guys in suits. Not even normal looking white guys. It's white guys in suits. And so one of the things is that we're trying to talk to the governor's offices and saying, "Hey, use us." And it's a very delicate line because, like, let's say NRA and GOA, even VCDL, people that are in the fight and they've been there for a long time, and somebody comes in and swoops in for a picture, you think that goes over well. But I'm just hoping that we can walk alongside these other organizations and they can deploy us how we need to be deployed to make a difference. So, have any questions? Did I cover? Yes, you can absolutely. We absolutely need the demonized white guys to make guns great again. It's I don't know where this country's going. I don't like it. I'm ready for people with broad shoulders that can withstand the hate, to do what needs to be done to say the truth and speak the truth, and um, that's about it. I don't know when that's going to happen. So, but organizations like VCDL, these are, I'm now discovering how important these state organizations are. And Cheryl is the president of Arizona, AZCDL, and not everybody has a CDL. Connecticut does, but other organizations have state organizations. Oklahoma has OK2A. But we really do want to partner with these state organizations and say, how can we help plug us into the hole that you see, where the optics game needs to be, um, because it really is going to take me, somebody looking like the girls to say, if somebody, where's that going? Okay, to the interwebs. Well, because what I wanna say is that, it takes our society has been so, um, beat down, and that violence is never the answer, and it takes somebody that looks like me that says violence sometimes is the answer. If you're trying to hurt me, I'm going to hurt you back. Right. But that's really hard for this society to absorb because they have been told and beat into their brains that violence is never the answer. And I think that that's why, the women's voice is so important, is saying, yeah, that violence is sometimes the answer or the only thing. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir. I don't think that our side understands the enemy. I don't think that half the people that own guns may not even be really pro 2A. They have been indoctrinated by and influenced by these messaging campaigns that has been going on for years, that guns are bad. And even if you have an R behind your name, even if you're a staunch conservative, people have been infected with this anti-gun messaging. And that's why, again, I think that it's so important for women to lead the charge when it comes to, hey, the Second Amendment is for everybody, and I want to be able to protect myself. So yeah, I think that their psyops game has been extraordinarily effective. Yeah, and I think that the second part of that is that, they don't understand the enemy, so that we all sit back and go to our soccer games, and we go to our movies, go to our professional ball games, and we live our lives and think that we have the Constitution. That we have it the right we're on the right side of this argument. And there's that other side that if you don't pay attention to what they're doing, they're strategically trying to undermine and rewrite the Constitution. So that's why I don't know if you guys heard the numbers, but there's up to 10 million gun owners and hunters in this country that are not registered to vote. So, a Vote for America is an organization that's trying to get the conservative vote out. If you have, talk to your friends and your families and your neighbors. And I think that's one thing that everybody can do, is to educate yourself on how to have those difficult conversations and not say, not call names, how to have an effective conversation without just losing your mind, because it is definitely difficult to have a conversation. Some people just aren't reachable. Some people have scales on their eyes, they cannot hear, they cannot see, and you just need to cut those loose. But those people in the middle that, if you don't know how to say, why does anybody need an AR-15? If you don't know how to answer that in 10 seconds, you've lost. You need to figure out, you have to can those. And that might be something that you can do here in this room, is like, let's go over, we have a one-page talking point on our website, womenforgunrights.org. And it kind of has it might even be on the back of that. Oh, Stacy has one. But you can download it. It's a free download, and you can use that as a study guide. And if you're going to do an interview, if you're going to go to the Thanksgiving dinner with people that may not like guns, you can say, hey, why do I oppose universal background checks? Because if I know down deep that I oppose it, I just don't know how to articulate that to my family. And in order to influence our friends, our families, and our communities, we're going to have to study and do just that. Have those conversations and influence them positively, in a positive way. That's what I'm saying. We can, okay, so for me, why does anybody need an AR-15? It's the most diverse and customizable platform there is and easy to use. And I try to boil it down because, I mean, you can go down the, well, nobody what needs aren't in the Constitution. Um, wants and needs and that argument, but it doesn't. That's one of the things we start on our page is how do you talk? You don't talk about constitutional rights. You lose somebody if you really want to influence them. You've lost them when you talk about because they've been conditioned to not want to hear that. They are going to shut you down immediately. So why do you oppose universal background checks? You oppose universal background checks because that's the last hurdle the government needs to form a registry. Registries are constitutionally illegal. The SCOTUS has uh, decided on that already. So a registry is illegal and they've always led to confiscation. So right, roll down the highway and talk to yourself and talk out loud, interview yourself and put it on camera, put it out there on if you have social media. This is why I oppose universal background checks. This is why I oppose red flag laws. She couldn't do it by herself. So she gave it prayer. I thought that was really cool. I think it's a great idea that you did. One of the things that I'll leave with you is that safety. Everybody wants safety. There's not one liberal that doesn't want to be safe. They just think that taking guns away is going to make them safe. And we think that keeping guns is going to keep us safe. So, and that's another message from the women is that you really can't argue with us. You guys they might say, oh, you can take care of yourself and hand stuff, but they can't really say that to us. So always leave with safety. I just want to be safe and always tell your personal story. I want to be safe. I know my wife, XYZ. I know Nikki Gozier's husband was killed in a gun-free zone. Learn some of these names of people that are real stories that you can just shove down somebody's throat and say, you're wrong. Don't say that. And it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. You have to take the effort to do the uncomfortable part. What, sir?
I first heard you on the Dead Pair podcast.
Oh.
I'm big into clay shooting, and they have a thing at the end of every one of their podcasts. They talk about the Dead Pair challenge is take somebody new shooting, and I downloaded your talking points, and if I didn't sign up, it's because I got distracted by actually doing work. But I've talked to my wife about the talking points, and my wife likes to shoot. I'm a girl dad. I have a 7 and a 4-year-old. My 7-year-old is starting to shoot 22 now, and I have a lot of liberal friends too. I'm guilty of it, and they're not giving up anything. Taking away the Second Amendment, they lose nothing.
Mm-mm.
We have to introduce these people to shooting and what we love, and at least understand it. Take people you work with shooting.
She's not necessarily a shooter.
You don't have to be a shooter.
That's right, but it doesn't take a trip to the range. I do think it takes a conversation and people that know you and trust you and love you. You are the best avenue to get to those people.
Right.
So we talked about this earlier when we were talking about voting for gun rights.
Yes.
Because all of the other rights depend on being able to defend those rights. How do we do that? How did we come to the government that we have and the country that we have, the nation that we have today? Was because the people that fought for their freedom from the crown were armed. And the army that won the Revolutionary War was armed with privately owned weapons. But to put it into today's terms, Dianna and Dwayne, you were talking about the conditioning of people. We're told, we see on the news all the time, somebody fought back and they say, well, he took things into his own hands, as if that's a bad
We're
thing.
going to be the bad guys. I was a 22-year police officer, and I wholeheartedly know that I'm going to be either dead or felon by the time this is over.
And people don't realize that we are the first responders. When we are victimized by somebody, it's not that we want to be a violent person.
Right.
It's that we were forced to defend ourselves from violence, and you can only do that with violence. It's a known fact. When you're at war, when the enemy attacks you, you don't stand there and say, you can't do that because that's violence. You have to meet it with an equal and opposite reaction. And sometimes what we have to do with people that don't understand this, like you say, people that don't own guns, that losing the 2A doesn't lose anything. It does. It loses them a lot. It loses them their freedom. But you have to ask questions that bring them to that conclusion. Because if we just say that to them, they're going to say, well, I don't believe you. You're just saying that. But if we ask them questions that lead them to a conclusion, or we share with them stories that demonstrate that for every one time a gun is used for something bad, 16 times it's used to prevent something bad from happening. And that's a documented fact.
I memorize the 40,000 number. When I hear it, I'm going to go to the 2 million number. It's saved annually.
Well, one thing I used was with a reporter. It's a story I've told before. A reporter in the Washington Post all day some years ago, and a young reporter, and she we were talking. And finally, I said, well, you've been asking me questions all day. Let me ask you a question. I said, so you're a young mother. What would you do if a criminal attacked you? She says, well, I think you'll have a gun. No. But you just give him what he wants. Yeah, if he wants your purse, you give him your purse, if whatever. I said, what if he wants your little girl?
Right.
Are you going to turn her over to him and give him what he wants? Well, if not, what are you going to do? I'm just curious.
Right.
What are you going to do to save your little girl? What have you got to save her with? And her eyes were like flames coming out. She hadn't thought about anybody touching her little girl. It hadn't crossed her mind. I said, she's depending
It's
on
the
you.
ultimate white privilege. The liberals, the elitists, is the ultimate privilege if you don't think that you need a firearm. And you could throw that language back at them too. Like, you're so privileged because they're like, why do you need a gun? Well, have you been outside? Like, are you so privileged that you don't need a gun and that your whole neighborhood's safe? Well, good on you, you privileged person, because they think
It's good. I like it. I like it.
yeah. Anything else? I know we took a while to get here.
Thank you for coming, and
You're
sorry
welcome.
for all of the trouble.
No, thanks for the Uber ride. It was excellent.
And that's a hero. Thank you so much.
Cheryl, do you want to?
I don't know if I have really anything to say from the podium, but if you offer me a microphone, I mean, it's just it's somehow wrong not to accept.
She's got her own.
I do have a podcast. My husband and I are co-hosts of, you got to say it right too. You got to pronounce it right. Gun Freedom Radio. So, so the an open mic is just an awesome invitation. I do wear a lot of hats in the state of Arizona. I am the Arizona State Director for Women for Gun Rights. I'm the Vice President of the VCDL, which we fashioned what we do after the VCDL. So we are cousins or something, right? Exactly. I am the president of the AZCDL Foundation. So that's the educational arm of the AZCDL. And our mission is to bring Faster Saves Lives to Arizona. Has anybody ever heard of Faster Saves Lives?
We were talking about it earlier tonight.
Fantastic. Oh, is Jim
He's
here?
not here, but
He like Skyped in or something?
no, I actually was talking to the governor yesterday morning about the Faster Saves Lives program, and I was telling the fine folks here that he is sending the information over to his school safety committee,
The governor.
the governor of Virginia.
Let me just tell you, you are so awesome. You are
And
so
thank
awesome.
you for putting us in touch with Jim, because
Absolutely.
yes.
That is my I think that that's my candy. When I can connect people, as soon as I meet somebody new, I am already going through the Rolodex, which dates me, right? The Rolodex of my mind. Who does this person need to know, and who needs to know this person? Because when we can tighten up our community where we're a text away from each other, that is so powerful and help people, get information faster, um, which will save lives. Huh? See what I did there? So I absolutely love that. And when I can see, I introduce people and I hand it off and, let God figure out what he's going to do with it. And the fact that you guys, are diving in right there and using that, that's amazing. Um, so anyway, the Faster Saves Lives is an awesome program. I'm also on the board of the Second Amendment Institute, which is based out of DC, and that's why we were at the wreath laying. Um, and while it's wonderful and it's amazing, and I am just privileged and honored to serve in all these capacities and serve on these boards. I don't sit on any boards. I serve, I do things. I'm an action person. I think the fact that I am filling so many roles points to a problem, right? There should be so many more people who could be doing these things. And so it is in my mindset. My master's degree is in organizational leadership. And so I'm trying to always replicate myself, always trying to be a good delegator, that sort of thing. And what I'm hoping everyone in here is thinking right now is, do you know a woman in your life that would be interested in this information? Anyone? Maybe one or two? I loved what you said. You're a girl dad. You're already thinking to that next generation. And I love what you shared, that the friend that you've really been investing in happens to be a female, and you would like her to better understand the value of her freedoms and the value of being able to protect herself and those she loves. And here's a phrase that I like to use a lot. I always like to talk about what I love and not what I hate or I'm frustrated with. And so the core of the Second Amendment, the core of all of this that we do is this. We all want to protect what we love, right? Doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter where you were born, doesn't matter your sexual orientation. You want to protect what you love. And sometimes that comes down to protecting it with a particular tool of self-defense. And I think that I think that can break down barriers. Last time I was in town, Dianna and I think Stacy and I all met with one of my senators in Arizona, whose wife is Gabby Giffords of the Giffords organization, right? Mark Kelly. He didn't meet with us, but one of his staffers did. And it was actually one of the best meetings I've ever had in DC. It's not like she left there going, yes, I'm going to encourage my boss to start voting, the right way for protecting our rights. But we caused cognitive dissonance in her mind multiple times. Most particularly, you're familiar with that. Most particularly, I think just because she liked us. And I think it was kind of shocking for her that it was like, man, we would go out to coffee together. Yeah. Right. And we found multiple places where we had similarities, because we all want to protect what we love. She and her boss just think the how is in one direction, and we think the how is in the other direction. So, to be able to do that is a tremendous blessing. And what I really liked, and I'll wrap up now because I know it's getting late. What I really liked about what the two of you shared is that you're using what you know and you're using what you have. And my husband and I owned a gun store for almost 20 years in Arizona, AZ Firearms. And whenever we could get people out to the range, I mean, it was our greatest blessing when we could take people who had never been before. And we had everything. We had the class 3 manufacturer's license. So we had, we didn't take a BB gun. Maybe we should have done that, but a 22 all the way up to full auto. And we even had a World War II cannon that we would fire off. And it was a little bit of movie magic. There was no actual projectile. We'd have the brass casing, and a Dasani water bottle fits perfectly inside. And so when the charge would go off, the bottle would allow, enough friction that the thing would jump and smoke would come up from where it was placed on the ground. And it was just beautiful and dramatic and amazing. And so we would let people go at their own speed. And so you have this intellectual connection with this person. That's what you used. Taking people out to the range. Well, I agree with Dianna. It's not everything, but I think it's so important, right? Because who doesn't come back from the range without having had a fun time, that rush, those adrenaline, I'm sure somebody somewhere, maybe, back in the day, my husband says he used to do it wrong. This was before I met him, but it was always fun for them to hand the tiniest girl the biggest gun, and it would go off and scare her, and it was just a big yuck for everybody. And now he admits readily all the time, man, I was so wrong. I shouldn't have done that. But if you're doing it carefully and out of love and giving them a safe experience, that's powerful.
Just going
That's
through the
powerful.
safety.
Yes.
Alone, I've seen a complete change in a person. And
Yes.
suddenly, they say, oh,
Yes.
that's what I've got to do these things. Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm talking.
Yeah, I can do that.
I just wanted to add, the way I look at it is people change themselves.
Yeah.
You have to give them the opportunity to
Nice.
change themselves.
Nice.
And then once you do that,
Yeah.
then they become your scalability
Mm-hmm.
because they'll infect somebody else.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use the word infect because
Yeah.
this is the old, old commercial way. If you tell somebody,
They'll tell 2 friends, and then they'll tell 2 friends. Yep. It's so true.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
Well, and the
You
fact,
use cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
In discourse, that's good enough.
yeah,
Because you don't need it, because you're not going to get everything.
yeah.
You know.
And the fact that, we wish that we could impact multitudes of people. And with the podcast, it's possible, right? But really where change comes is that one-on-one, and it is a slow moving boat. But when you have that moment where the person starts to internalize it and personalize it, as you said, well, now you've actually touched at least 2 other people, if not, right, 4 other people or 16. So
slow.
don't be discouraged by the slow boat.
But the taking of the range is such a powerful tool because the feeling you get is a feeling of empowerment.
Yeah.
When you fire that gun and you hit a bullseye,
Yeah.
you feel
Feels pretty dang good.
it's empowering.
Yeah.
It's something that makes you feel like you're a little bit in control of the world around you.
Absolutely.
But I was
Absolutely.
thinking about the example of the cannon.
Yeah.
I would have done was hit somebody near the woods, which you can't right. And so it's like boom, boom. Oh, I think I had a shot.
I should have called you. That would have been brilliant. That would have been brilliant. Anyway, thank you so much for your time and your attention. Thank you so much for being such amazing hosts and such the collaboration. Every time I reach out to the VCDL for anything, Phil, will you come on the show? Yes. I did a panel in Arizona of leaders of all the different organizations, national organizations that were coming to. Have you ever heard of the Gun Rights Policy Conference, GRPC? It was in Phoenix last year, I think it was, or 2 years ago, whenever it was. And not only did Phil say yes, but then when his plane got screwed up, we figured out how to Skype him in, and then it was a big mess, but he hung in there, just that open-handed, that willingness, that what can we do to help you help us? it's amazing. There is no level of, competition. It is camaraderie.
We're a family.
Absolutely. And you exemplify.
All of our.
You exemplify that. And in the 2A world, I did a show early on, probably almost 10 years ago. I called it Sibling Rivalry, because it's sort of like I was trying to figure this whole thing out. So like, well, if I'm a lifetime NRA member, then what are those NSSF people doing, or what are those, whatever. And there is some rivalry, among the organizations, but I think for the most part, what your organization exemplifies, what you all do, is, I want to say, it's the ideal, and I think it's more common than not. And so I appreciate you so much, and good on you, and I applaud you for being here late on I don't even know what night it is. It's the night that I got stranded on a highway.
So I will say, 2 years ago at the GRPC, they have an event the night before the actual conference actually starts that's called AMCON.
AmCon. I'm in charge of that
And
too.
it is kind of a think tank type of opportunity where representatives, people from the different gun rights groups get together and we talk about what each other is doing. And 2 years ago, Cheryl got up on the stage at AmCon and said, we need to spotlight all of the other groups. So as VCDL, we've had in our live stream, we've tried to have people from the different groups that we've met at the Gun
brilliant.
Rights Policy Conference and so on and so forth. And we've featured them on our live streams via remote connection.
It's brilliant.
And Cheryl has had VCDL and a lot of other groups on there. But what we're doing is we're networking. And as you guys know from business experience at your work, networking is really important. That's how you make the connections that help you grow and prosper. And it's the same with our organizations. If we want to succeed in this battle, we can have the sibling rivalry, but we have to mainly focus on working together and coordinating and making a coordinated effort, because the other side does that very well.
You do it so well. So
And they have that messaging down pat. We need to, they've co-opted the language. We need to control the language. Whoever controls the message wins the battle.
Mhm,
This is not a battle on a battlefield. This is a battle in the media,
mhm.
a battle for the mindset.
It's the
And
same.
so VCDL is working on several educational programs, and as we work through them, we will make them available to other gun rights groups.
I think that's amazing.
Helps.
Yeah. And these cards talk about, how to speak about things. The language does matter. I think our side thought it was cool to call something an assault rifle. Yeah, I got one of those, and we played right into their hands.
Alan Corley, when you really going,
Mhm. Yeah.
he was big on that, saying
Yeah.
language really matters and picking the right terms and.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He was right about that. And
Yeah.
what we probably ought to put on, I'll think about putting it together on our website, would be this thing that Dianna was talking about, where you have some key questions and answers, so members can read it and see the common things that may come into a conversation and learn the answer, understand, so that it's
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
Our members are actually pretty good. I've seen quite a few of them get interviewed on TV and
Nice.
did a good job,
Nice.
so they knew what they were talking about. But it's handy, especially for new people,
Yeah.
to have that. So again, this is an example of cross pollination.
Yes.
I get to steal, make guns great again. And
Yep.
so
Yeah. No, rising tide lifts all boats, right? And then the last thing I'll say is about your 2020 rally. It is still, the standard that we all have to live up to. And every year in Arizona in February, we've had a rally on the lawn of the Arizona State Capitol. And I've helped to, bring in speakers for that and that sort of thing. And we've just actually given that over to GOA. So there's another collaboration. The group that was putting it on was called Riders USA. It was a motorcycle group. And then they had me come in and use my network to bring speakers in, but they've just kind of hit a wall with, they're kind of aging out a little bit. And so they said it's either going to close or we got to find somebody. So I connected them with GOA, and I think it's going to be wonderful. But at our height, I think we had 7,000.
It's not bad.
Whatever.
We're
How many did you have?
about 50,000.
I mean, yeah. So I'm like,
Next year, we only had like 700 if.
isn't that the thing?
Yeah,
What,
it's-
people are fickle. They are really fickle.
Complacency is our biggest enemy.
It is. It is. Did I see a hand?
People,
Yeah.
if we want to have a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, then we, the people, have to get involved
Amen.
and stay engaged.
Amen.
That's the only way it will work.
Amen. Well,
So-
we're coming for you for that 50. We're coming for you. We're healthy
Yes.
I
competition.
hope you beat us. I really
Right.
do.
It's because it's good for everybody.
It is.
But
It is.
I love it. Anyway, thank you all so much. I really appreciate your staying late. I think you're probably a little later than normal, but
Probably not, but thank you for persevering and coming out here anyway. I know it was tempting to say, I'm done.
Be damned.
well, when you send me a hero, he's going to drive here.
Matt's been a hero in a lot of ways. Get in front of the camera, Matt, for a second. Oh, come on.
He's not going to do it. Thank you so much.
Videotapes a lot, the footage of the rally in 2020.
Was that you?
That was Matt and his
That is so
team,
important.
So, yes.
When something lives
We're lucky
on.
we've got people in different areas in the profession.
Yes.
And we don't have the 60 million, however. That would be nice to have that much money coming in every year. What would we do with that kind of money? Oh my God.
We'd figure
We
it
could
out.
change the
Sky would
world.
be the
We'd
limit.
figure it out. Anyway, thank you again. Thank you.
Thank
again.
you so much. So, for VCDL has, a lot of people have said, can I make tax deductible contributions to? Well, no, VCDL is a 501c4 and contributions are greatly appreciated, but they're not deductible on your personal income tax. However, we have started a Virginia Citizens Defense Foundation. It is a 501c3. All of the tax paperwork is filed and all of the Virginia permits are done. We're just working on a logo to put on the website, but I got it registered on Facebook. So for my birthday wish, I hope to raise at least $1,000. We're at 239 and my birthday is next week. So it runs through the 26th. So you can pop on my profile, Pat Webb, and make a contribution to VCDF and help me hit that 1,000. I'd like to see it 10,000, but I'll settle for 1,000. And you can make your birthday wish to VCDF, Virginia Citizens Defense Foundation, on Facebook.
Yeah, so it's tax deductible.
Support a gun rights.
Yes. And yeah,
Is-
the VCDF will be using the money to fund lawsuits and also education. So those two branches of what it'll be doing.
And there's a lot of lawsuits to battle right
There's a lot of lawsuits.
now. It is live on Facebook
So
now.
you can do this now.
And it's also on Benevity, I think is how you say it.
Yeah, and it's on our website as well.
Organizations that uses Benevity to, there's employers that say if our employees make a contribution through Benevity to a charity, we will match the funds. So that's live now as well.
Yeah, and it's on our website as well. You can go to the website and donate to the foundation.
Click the contribution link on the website. There's an option for VCDF also.
So that's new. We'll make a more formal announcement very soon as soon as we got a logo. That's really all we're waiting on. Can't believe how hard that's been, but we're trying to do it right. Come up with something clever. Yeah, it is. So anyhow, I appreciate everybody coming out, and Cheryl and Dianna coming in. Stacy, did you want to say anything? Arkansas?
Okay.
Fun people and.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you. You were there last night.
I just second what they said.
Okay. All right. Well, again, we'll probably be back here. We'll put in the alert. We usually do it quarterly, so in about 3 months we'll be back. We're trying to do them around the state. We did one in Richmond. We're going to be doing some in some other parts of the state. So
And watch the VA alerts for the October meeting because that's gonna be something special.
right, we have a in Richmond area, Central Virginia, we'll have a special event coming up in October.
Charlottesville, right?
Charlottesville, yeah, there's at the Rivanna Rifle and Pistol Club. They've got a nice meeting room, and we're going to have a
It's the 30th.
30th anniversary of VCDL.
Wow.
1994, so 30 years. Hard to believe, but there it is.
Yep.
Weekend event or weekday?
I'm sorry?
Weekend or weekday?
It's a weekend. It'll be on a Saturday, the 26th of October,
Yep. And be there if you can.
like 6 to 8 p.m.
Cool surprises.
The Rivanna Rifle and Pistol Club in Charlottesville, right just outside of Charlottesville. Yeah. In the enemy territory.
Just a couple miles off of 64.
You guys are used to that. We're going to take you from one enemy territory down to another one. Saturday, October 26th. Oh,
October
26th. Yeah. 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Rivanna.